Well, alrighty then. Welcome back. I am Ethan LeBlanc,
I'm David McQueen.
and we are those nerds you know.
Yeah.
Woo! Alright, and we're coming at you tonight with an awesome topic. We're going to talk about Young Justice.
Yes.
One of the best cartoons I've ever seen.
Oh, it's spectacular. It's
real
really
good. Gosh.
Yeah.
Super cool. So, just to get into it, Young Justice. For those of you that don't know what Young Justice is, that's a shame. First off, you should know what it is. Second off,
Get out there, kids. What are you doing?
This is as a brief explanation. It is essentially a show on Cartoon Network. It originally aired on Cartoon Network about sidekicks from the DC universe becoming sort of a team together.
Yeah.
So you got like Robin, Kid Flash, Aqualad. Was he in that?
Aqualad, yeah. He was in
Aqualad.
the original team, yeah.
Speedy has a bit.
Yeah. He Red Arrow and all those things. Like, he shows up a little bit, comes from... It's basically the different Justice League members' sidekicks.
Yeah.
Miss Martian, Martian Manhunter's
Yes.
cousin.
McGann.
Yeah, McGann. She's a character. So, yeah. They called themselves the Team in the first season, which was pretty neat. I thought that was pretty neat. Like you said, it aired between 2010 and 2013. That's when it stopped. And then we didn't hear anything for a while. Yeah. And then last year we got announced that there's going to be a new season, and we're hearing that it's going to come out next year. Sometime next year.
So
that's great.
I'm
super excited.
It's super
It got really popular when it hit Netflix, finally. And people who hadn't heard of this show could check it out. I think it's still there. If so, check it out.
Gosh, I hope it's still there.
I really do, yeah.
I don't see why they would take it off, especially if the third season is coming to Netflix.
If you're listening to this, pause it, check Netflix. If it's there, watch it, then come back.
Yes.
Because we're going to spoil the crap out of it.
Answer, yeah, no, totally. Speaking of spoilers, to begin, like, the first 2 episodes basically is...
Robin,
Aqualad, and...
Kid
Flash investigating something that's going on inside of Cadmus? Cadmus slabs or something like that.
Yep.
Which essentially ends up being Superboy, who's a clone of Superman, but mixed with a little bit of regular human DNA, from what we understand. So he comes out the oven, and he's not a complete Clark Kent remake.
He's not entirely. He's not just Superman's creature. Yeah,
he's sort of teenaged. He can't fly. I don't think he has heat vision.
I thought he did, but maybe you're right. I don't know.
I think he's just strong and angry.
Yeah, he's pretty strong. Yeah. In the comics, they present his strength as being tactile telekinesis. So where it's like when he touches things, he uses his brain. Yeah, to do stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's
interesting explanation tactic there.
But I don't know.
Is that what Superman does?
No, Superman's actually just super strong.
I don't know why they would.
It's just a differentiation on his powers. I don't know. And that's never brought up in Young Justice, so thankfully you don't have to worry about that question.
Shouldn't be.
I mean, that's a little bit like in some versions of Flash's story, that like Flash would go really, really fast, and then Reverse Flash would just slow everything around him down, and it would have the same effect.
Whatever.
So I mean, yeah,
I'm okay with talking about the Flash as little as possible.
Right? Yeah, no, I get that. He's in this a little bit, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
So, so like you said, these.
Gosh, I just reminded myself of something that I didn't know happened. I didn't remember happened.
What?
Well, again, spoilers. If you're this far,
right,
things are going to be spoiled. So, at the end of each season, there's stuff. There are questions that are answered and questions that are answered and questions that are not answered.
Yes.
And the end of season 2, Wally disappears.
Yep.
Because he's absorbed into the Speed Force.
Yep.
I just forgot about that. But yeah, that's...
Yep.
Gosh, that's so sad, too.
Oh, it's so good.
Because that happens, and he's... At that point in time, he's with Artemis, right?
Yes.
They're together, and they both kind of given up the hero thing.
Yeah, they were about to leave.
They were just trying to have a normal life.
They were both quitting it, yeah.
And he was like, all right, fine, this one last thing I'll do to help y'all. And then he ends up sacrificing himself to the Speed Force.
Yep.
Gosh.
Which, apparently, when they were going to do that in the show, they had debated letting Barry doing that, the original Flash, sacrifice himself like he did in the comics. But they figured it would make it'd be more impactful to the viewer if it was Wally, because we knew him more than we knew Barry.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because I think if Barry did it, we'd just be like, well, there's the character we've seen a few times just sacrifice himself for their team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with Wally, it was like you said, it was way more impactful, because it's like, this guy is a guy who'd been around them since episode 1, and he like was trying to get out, and they pulled him back in. And yep. That's the hero life, bro. But
the show's so good.
I'm excited. So, I find this show super duper cool. I find I love the extensive list of heroes.
Yes,
that it touches on.
I love that too, man.
It's not just Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. Like, it's like a bunch of characters, and it's all over the place.
And they have different people that are like trainers, like freaking Crimson Tornado. Is that his name?
Red Tornado. Yeah.
Red Tornado is like their babysitter, more or less.
Yeah, they kept referring to him as that. Yeah,
they're not actually a team until like episode 3-ish. Because episode 1 and 2 is when the kids are just kind of the sidekicks are just kind of going off on their own. They weren't told to investigate this thing in Cadmus; they just kind of did it. And then when they break Superboy out and they actually make it out of here, and they reveal all the crazy stuff that was happening in Cadmus, Justice League kind of steps in, and they're like, okay, well, if you're gonna do something like this, you should have training, you should have some type of oversight.
Yeah,
and so they give them a previous base of the Justice League.
They give him the Hall of Justice, or they go to the Hall of Justice. They use the mountain.
The mountain.
I forget what it's called.
I don't know. Some type of Mount Justice. I don't know.
Yeah, something like
that. That might be it. It might even be called something.
It's one of their old. It's one of their old headquarters that they mentioned in the show that the villains already knew the whereabouts of, and they were talking about how like, oh, if the villains already know about this hideout, why are we using it? And they're like, well, it's hiding in plain sight type thing. It's just
they
like
nobody would think we'd come.
Nobody expect what they would come back.
Whoa.
Basically. But and that's where the team operates out of. They operate out of the mountain, while the main Justice League were operating out of the Watchtower in space, which is really cool. Something I thought was neat about the show was how the Justice League is most definitely in this universe, and they hang around and they do stuff, and they're still very cool, but they definitely take a they take a back seat to the action that is the sidekicks, basically. Them take stepping forward and being their own people and their own heroes.
The interesting thing about it is the way the Justice League decides to handle this young team. Batman's more or less in control, like he's the manager of the team. He kind of dishes out. He's Batman.
He's got to be the boss. So.
Yeah, he dishes out their assignments, their missions and stuff. Red Tornado lives with them and sort of watches over them. Yeah. And Black Canary comes in and teaches them quite a bit.
She's so freaking cool.
She is super cool.
She does she trains them in combat. She consoles them in therapy after a really traumatic experience.
But the point of their team is to do covert operations.
Yes,
that was the whole thing. And so you are a team. Like the Justice League comes in and says you are a team. You're going to do things, but you're not going to be doing things that will be seen. Yeah, you're not going to be out saving the world. On TV. You're going to be doing things that we need you to do behind the scenes, and it's really interesting. Yeah. Because in so doing, they discover a very big plot that affects the rest of the world and Justice League as well. Yeah, in both seasons, actually. Yes. One of the things I think that is neat about that covert side of it is that because... I feel like this is something I've talked about before, but it's something that it's pretty prevalent with this day and age of superhero movies and things. We see all these heroes in movies going out and fighting giant robots or doing whatever, saving the day from some great worldly threat, basically. And you're like, well, that's really heroic, that's really neat and cool to watch. But it's not they're not I don't know. It's not the same as doing something simple or sacrificing themselves or doing the little work, doing that kind of stuff. That stuff's more, in my opinion, more heroic. Yep. And so one of the things I think is neat is that we get to see them be heroes more than just super. Yeah. We get to see them do some cool things with their powers, but mainly they're out there doing the things that are really, really important. Like that episode, there's an episode in Young Justice where Kid Flash has to basically run a heart transplant to this girl in a hospital on the opposite side of the country. And meanwhile, the rest of his team has to team up with the Justice League to take down this big threat that everybody is dealing with, and it's on the thing. And he's upset because he's not being able to go in front of the action. But it's such a neat episode because he understands that even though his job is so specific to him and he was the perfect man for it, and then when he did it, he was able to do it right, even though he was upset at first. Right.
Like it paid off, and you really see like you actually see these characters understand the responsibility they're taking on. At least eventually, like they're still young, so they still struggle with it, of course. Like we talked about in our Spider-Man video, like they're not always just like, oh, you got to do good only and things like that. Like they make mistakes all the time because they're still learning. But that was such a neat episode for Kid Flash, I thought. So
yeah, and it brings up something that sort of happens for all the characters. Every week we get to watch all of them sort of grow, and that's really cool. It's I'm a sucker for teenage superheroes.
Yeah.
And that is what the show is.
Great. Oh, yeah, the whole show.
It's cool because they're dealing with...
It's similar to Teen Titans in that sense.
Yes.
But a little more... It's a little more serious
than
the original
considerably more serious.
Yeah.
It's also a little more...
I wanted to say dark, but I don't know if that's the right term for it. I mean, it gets dark in times, but...
There's plenty of dark in Teen Titans.
Yeah.
I would say not so much dark as it is cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like Teen Titans has plenty of episodes where where it doesn't have anything to do with an overarching story in the season.
Yeah.
I think later on, towards season 4 and 5, they sort of hunker down more and have a more of an arc through the whole season.
Yeah.
But for this show,
this
whole arc, this whole season was
it's
planned towards this build-up, towards this. It was trying to tell a story with all these characters.
Yeah, and that's really great because honestly, I felt like it felt very comic book like. Because even then, there's plenty of times in the show where it's like they do something that's rather episodic, like they do this thing and you're like, okay, yeah, and that was just one of those like freak of the week type things where they're fighting a bad guy. But it, like you said, it always ties back to some overarching story that's happening, that's going on, and it's very neat because, like you said, it feels like a comic book, and that that's how the comics that are coming out nowadays work. Also, I think what's also very very much like a comic is that like how many interactions they have with other heroes at all times, basically.
Yes.
In that, like something we don't really get to see that much in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or even we're kind of seeing in the DC universe now, where it's just like they live in a universe where like heroes are everywhere, just saving the day all the time,
Precisely.
And so it's like they're gonna run into one another, and in this it's like they're constantly running into one another.
Which is the same thing that I really like about Justice League Unlimited, which we should also talk about.
Justice League Unlimited is great.
So good.
I should probably finish it.
Yeah, you probably should. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. No,
anyways,
I've seen some good stuff.
Young Justice is super duper cool because of the interactions that we get, because they take it for granted, I think, that you are a fan of DC, and they don't treat you like an idiot, which I think is good.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely...
There's plenty of things happening.
And not only that, but it's like you don't necessarily have to be that well-read in DC to get the show. The show is presented in a way that you can learn who these characters are from their interactions in it.
Correct. But they're not going to explain everything to you.
No, exactly.
And I like that.
I also really enjoy how they kind of touch on like every bit of DC, like as far as like in Marvel, it took us like how many years before we got anything magical?
Oh gosh, yeah. In the current MCU, yes.
Yeah, in the current MCU, I mean, and it's like we're still kind of doing that in the DC EU, where it's like you're just like, I don't know, we've got Wonder Woman kind of, but she's more mythological than magical, I guess. But it's like in here we have mythological heroes, we've got magical heroes, we've got scientific heroes, we've got metahumans, we've got just regular humans that are really skilled in different forms of skills.
Aliens.
Also, they do a really good job of like kind of like a little bit like the CW, where they repackage characters that aren't as popular and present them with new backstories or new types, new stories, and it presents it in a way that's very unique and very fun and also very interesting. Like Sportsmaster is a big villain in this, and Sportsmaster's like almost nowhere now. Like and same for what's the other one? Blockbuster. Early on, Blockbuster was a guy that shows up. Blockbuster's a very old villain, but he shows up a few times in this, and that's very neat, I think. But it's like, and I think what's really cool about that is this show has this tendency to like take some of the elements of the stories they've run in comics, and so it's similar to the comics but different, and they take this unique twist on it where the show is great because it's original stories, as opposed to like how sometimes in movies and in shows they do like, well, there's a story in the comic, let's just make a movie of that,
right?
Or we'll just make a series of that. Like this is just like, well, there's characters and they do this, and what if they were fighting this guy? Right. And like, what would his plan be?
There is a comic called Young Justice.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the same exact.
No.
They might have a similar premise.
There was an older comic called Young Justice. There's a newer comic now based off the show. That's
cool.
That's a similar thing. I don't know where it fits or if it's canon to the story. I know they did a video game that's supposed to fill in the gap between years 1 and 2, but apparently the game was awful. I haven't played it, but I've thought about getting it just for the cutscenes.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind knowing what the story behind the video game is.
Yeah, I've thought about YouTubing it or something.
Well, because for those of you that, again, if for some reason you're still listening to this and you haven't seen Young Justice, there's a time skip from season 1 to 2 of like 5-ish years.
5 years, exactly. There's going to be another time skip that we've told between
from season 2 to season 3,
but they haven't declared they haven't confirmed what that time gap's going to be. It's probably less than 5, but it's probably more than like 2. I'm thinking like maybe 3 or 4 years, but we'll see.
Yeah, one of the things I love about this show, if you've listened to other episodes, you know that I'm a huge fan of Robin, particularly Dick Grayson, and he's real good in this show.
I freaking love the Bat Family.
This season 1 is a perfect example of why I like Dick Grayson so much.
Yeah,
in that he's funny, but he's also intelligent.
Yes,
and despite the fact that he's the only member of the team with no powers, he can still make anybody look like a joke. Like he's
great.
He's so good at what he does.
He's so very skilled. And, one of the things I think is interesting is that Robin in Young Justice in season 1 is kind of like a conglomerate of all the Robins, because like Dick Grayson's not as tech savvy as he is in the first season, and so that's a little more like Tim Drake's field and things like that. And so he kind of exhibits attributes of other Robins in the first season, but in the second season, he becomes Nightwing, and Tim Drake takes up the mantle of Robin, and that is when you start to see they've become these defined roles or whatever.
Right.
Nightwing, like you said, definitely steps into the mantle of he's kind of more of a leader, and he's more skilled and experienced, and he's also really tough, and like you said, he can make anybody with powers look like a joke because he understands people with powers. He understands how it works.
Super cool. The second season he is Nightwing.
Yeah.
After the 5-year skip.
Yeah. Which is really good.
It is good. I really like this. I also really like, like I said about them assuming that you're a DC fan, in season 2, there's a moment where I think we get faked out at first, right? That someone's dead.
There's a couple situations like that. They fake out that Artemis is dead.
Artemis, that's the one. And so they have her little hologram in like a hall in the mountain of other heroes that have died.
Yes.
And if you know what to look for, you can see at some point Robin or Nightwing, I think it might be,
Jason
standing
Todd.
in front of another Robin, which you would assume is Jason Todd, who has passed away, but then has not yet been revealed as the Red Hood.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, I guess, if you don't know that. Jason Todd is killed by the Joker.
In the comics.
He's Batman's second Robin. Mm-hmm. He's killed by the Joker in the comics, and several years later is brought back as a villain called the Red Hood.
Yep.
He's dipped into the Lazarus Pits, depending on what comic you read.
Yeah,
or
there's
what
different
story.
versions now.
There's a really cool animated movie called Batman Under the Red Hood.
Yep.
Came out several years ago. Really good. Solid. I own that. Super good. That sort of explains some of that story, but I think the general understanding is that Raz or Raish or Raz, Al Ghul,
any one of those
dips homeboy Todd in the Lazarus pit, and he comes back. But anyone who comes back from the dead from the Lazarus pits isn't always
they're not all
the same.
There. Yeah.
Yes.
So he comes back a little cracked,
kind of nuts,
insane.
But yeah, anyway, and you can just none of that is said or explained or shown.
Yeah, none of that. Show. A little bit.
You just see Robin or Dick Grayson. In front of.
It's basically an Easter egg for people like us.
Yes, it's so cool.
Yeah, I love that. There's a lot of attention to detail in this show.
Yes,
it's very, very solid.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so well
Yes,
written.
Queen.
Yes. It's so good.
It's very good. I like
we got to. I also love the fact that we. So one of the writers for the show, or someone that did write on the show, was Greg Weisman, who we.
He also wrote Gargoyles.
Yes, he worked on Gargoyles. He's worked on a lot of other things too. I think he mentioned.
Great.
I don't know. I'm not gonna. don't know. I don't want to say other things that may not be what he did because I'm just thinking off of memory now. Because you and I sat in on a panel that he was at MechaCon years ago.
Yep.
And he talked about Young Justice, which is cool.
That was a good panel too.
Oh yeah. Just quick side note about Young Justice. Why we're talking about it now? Why it came out so long ago? What the pause has been? Like it came out. It aired on Cartoon Network. And according to Greg, from what we understood from what we got from the panel that he was at, one of the main points of the show was to sell toys. And a lot of times that's the things that Cartoon Network and
it's all about that merch.
Other networks are doing with shows, especially cartoons, is to sell merchandise.
Yep, just like Power Rangers with your toys.
Precisely.
Collect all 5.
And although this was a fantastic show that people really, really like and that people should definitely watch.
Yeah, watch the crap out of it.
It didn't push toys the way they wanted it to.
Yeah.
And I personally think that's probably because I think the demographic that would have bought toys, which are the younger kids, probably weren't as into this as the older teens or even young adults.
Maybe
would have liked this. Because I loved this when it came out. I saw the first couple episodes on TV when it first aired, and I liked it. But I was in college, so
I'm not gonna buy toys.
I'm not gonna go to Walmart and buy
as much as I collect goofy things. I don't really buy action.
I gotta save my money for Magic cards.
I don't buy. I'll buy some pop vinyls. That's about it.
But and so it didn't sell the merch, and so because of that, it got nixed. And people were all upset about it.
It's like in Power Rangers, I can't buy a morpher.
Right.
they don't morph none.
And that's something that Greg was saying is if you like something, especially nowadays, vote with your wallet, pay for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Get some things. But that was just the downfall of this show, and everyone was super upset about it. But I also really like that because of the way Netflix works and the way a lot of streaming sites work and crowdfunding and all the social networks that are around now.
He really fought for that show too. That's the thing.
He did.
He talked about that in his panel. That he did a lot to try and bring that show back. And like you said, it was off the air for a long time. And it finally got put on Netflix, and it just blew up on Netflix.
Right, because it's a good show.
People love that show.
And now we're getting a third season. That's so exciting, and I'm so happy. That's such a triumph to me of crowdfunding and of being able to an audience being able to vote for and choose their media and their entertainment without having to go to Walmart and buy action
entertainment
figures.
Like this. I feel like entertainment in general like this has gotten very interactive in that people tend, especially with this day and age with YouTube and Twitch and things, people tend to do this thing where you put something out into or even with us, with the podcast, you put something out into the internet, out into the void. People pick it up, and if they like it, they come back to you with information. You can take that or leave it, and it's there's some really cool stuff in that.
Let's talk about characters for a bit.
Yeah, let's do
that. I know we've mentioned quite a few already, but let's try to have a focused conversation about characters.
No, focus. Not even a little bit of focus. I couldn't even say that focus word.
Focus. So we talked about Robin. He's really cool. Obviously, he has. I like that they. At first, they sort of tease at him being the leader of the team.
Yes.
Because, he's the sidekick to Batman. He's really cool. We've already had the Teen Titans show. He's
the leader
in that.
that
we assume would be good. But they also talk about how spoiler alert, he doesn't become the leader.
Yeah, or
which
he
I think was a good choice.
Because he was he's
not for season 1. None of season 1 is he the leader.
He's one episode, right? Before Aqualad takes the
right.
mantle,
Yeah, right? So they give him a trial run.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work out. Yeah.
And he becomes, or Calder becomes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah.
The leader of the team. But I think it's cool to watch Robin grow and learn a couple things because he learns that okay, maybe I'm not ready to lead. And I think it would be real. I think it's a really interesting thing to consider. Maybe he spent his time with this team, not leading, and then for 5 years, maybe he went off and did his Teen Titans thing. Now that he learned how to lead.
Oh, I never thought about that.
And then now we've come back. Teen Titans isn't really together anymore. He's Nightwing in season 2 of Young Justice.
Yeah.
No. But that's just.
I also like that.
That's my imagination in my head, David.
Yeah,
that's called a fan theory.
That's a headcanon, is what they call it. That's what the kids are calling it. I like the I like that in season 2, there's a bunch of other heroes that have been added, like been recruited basically in that 5-year span, and so like it's gotten to the point now where they're not necessarily called the team anymore, like where they like break it up in like A team and B team, or like they'll go on missions and they'll be like Alpha and Delta, whatever the case may be, and they'll be doing different operations at the same time for different reasons. And I think that's really neat because, like I mentioned before, you get this really really extended stuff because like season 2 you get people like Wonder Girl and Batgirl and
Beast Boy.
Oh, Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle. Jaime Reyes. He's great. I love Blue Beetle.
Bumblebee. Yeah, the only one who like his name.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, real quick tangent on the Bumblebee.
We already on a tangent.
No, I know. We're talking about characters, but we have some toys at my work for DC Hero Girls or whatever. Which is like something that DC's doing now, where it's like they're kind of, I guess they're trying to market to a female audience or a young female audience, and so they like do these like little cutesy toys, and there's like a show, I think maybe even a comic or something for female superheroes, and like there's these action figures for the characters, and they're characters like Harley Quinn and Bumblebee and Batgirl and things like that, and it's really funny because we were looking at the action figures, and a lot of them would be like included with this, or like with this, and like it'd be like Harley Quinn with her mallet. And it'd be like, Batgirl with a batarang and stuff like that. And that's cool. And then it's like Bumblebee with wings. And I was like, well, if without the wings, she's not Bumblebee, is she? Like, or it's like Poison Ivy with vines. And I was like, okay, I mean, if she doesn't have vines, like, how is she's not really Poison Ivy. I don't know. She's just a girl in a green skirt. But yeah.
Yeah. Any hoozles, if I can get back to characters. So let's do the main team of the original or the first season. We talked about Robin. He's real cool. He learns that he's not a great leader. Yada yada yada.
Superboy.
Superboy is my boy.
Superboy's great.
I like him a lot in this show.
He's voiced by Nolan North.
Sure.
Super cool.
Whatever
he voiced Desmond from the Assassin's Creed series.
Okay.
He's great.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
He's also in Uncharted. Nate.
Ah.
Yeah. Nate from Uncharted. He's great.
Nathan Drake.
Yep, that's him.
Yep. He's really cool. He has like perpetual anger issues.
Yeah.
Coupled with daddy issues.
Yeah.
I do really like that. Another thing you get to see in this show is Bruce Wayne's relationship with Clark Kent.
Oh, it's so great.
It's so
cool.
It's
so great because it's just like it is in the comics. Like in the comics, they like one another. Like they're friends. Like they trust one another. Like they talk to one another. It's very cool.
But so like one of the reasons, or one of the, I think, main motivations behind forming the team at all was the fact that we found Superboy and he needed a group. Like he needed to be taught a little bit who he was, how to deal with who he was.
He had to focus
because
find an outlet for the anger.
He's essentially a few days old.
Yeah.
And he knows how to communicate more or less, but not as in he knows how to speak.
Yeah.
He doesn't really know how to communicate well.
Yeah.
He doesn't
really
know
get people yet.
He has to get over a lot of things. He doesn't really know who he is. He's angry about basically everything.
Well, his whole life is like he's kind of got a bad shake of it. Like he's kind of got a bad dealt a bad hand with this being a clone thing.
there's a point. Yeah. There's like a point where Bruce talks to Clark and he's like, "Hey, this kid needs a dad.
Yeah,
like he needs it bad, and you are literally the person to do that for him.
Yeah,
please consider it. And do it." Superman's like,
I like that Superman. Yeah, I like that Superman doesn't at first. Like he doesn't reach out to Superboy. Like it's very interesting because it's like it's one of those things. It's like people talk all the time about how perfect Superman is, but Superman he's more human than a lot of the Justice League members. Like he struggles with those kinds of things, and I like that he was just like, this kid isn't mine. He's not my son. He's a clone of me, and. Yeah. I like that when he does eventually reach out to Superboy, they build more of a brother relationship.
Yes.
Which made a lot more sense.
Yes, it does.
And I thought it was very neat that they ended up actually liking one another because of that.
Yes.
Because it is a little odd to try and do the father thing. Mm-hmm. It kind of makes sense because his DNA isn't totally Superman, so it's like he did share it with a parent or something.
Yeah.
But at this point, like Superman, I don't think is even married. Like I don't think he's with anybody, and so it's just like, I don't know, he's just a single father trying to be Superman. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just felt weird. But I like that you definitely see that struggle. I feel like that showed a lot of character on both sides.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of both of them having to accept the situation
Yeah.
and deal with it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Who else is on the team? We got McGann. Or Megan.
Yep.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. That's her Earth name.
Is Megan.
Yeah, Megan, yeah.
But I don't think they really use that a whole lot. I think
not a whole lot.
Pretty quickly they learned that her name was McGann, and they just do that.
Yeah, I think John even introduced her as McGann.
Yeah, maybe so.
Like, so they know him as John Johns. Or
so
John
she's
Jones.
interesting. She's actually a very interesting character.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how accurate this is to comics or anything, but they chose to make her origin a white Martian rather than a green Martian.
Yeah, yeah.
For those of you that don't know what that means, John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, is a green Martian.
What?
Yes, he's green.
Kind of like Martin the Martian? Is that his name? Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian?
Yeah.
Just like it, David.
All right.
That's right.
All right.
And,
I'm all cut up. No, I'm just kidding.
He's cool. He's really awesome. He's a
very powerful psychic.
Once again, if you don't know, he is a very powerful psychic. If you don't know much about these characters, if you haven't seen the show, and yet you're still here listening, but you have seen some of the latest Marvel stuff, a comparable hero to him is the Vision.
Yes, very much so. Wow, yeah, that's a yeah.
So John Johns can fly. He's
basically Vision.
Yeah, he can phase through things. He does have a little bit of telepathy, which I'm not sure the Vision has a whole lot of. But
yeah.
John Johns also doesn't shoot a beam out of his forehead.
Yeah, John Johns also isn't like part robot.
Correct.
So
John Johns is all
alien.
He can also shapeshift.
True.
And his weakness is fire. Which is
yeah,
interesting. He's scared of it. That it's a weakness.
Yeah, it's clear that
he's terrified of fire.
The Martians were bred with a fear of fire, but it doesn't.
What
actually
are we
hurt
talking
him.
about? Oh, that's right. So he's a green Martian. Yeah. McGann is introduced as his niece.
Yeah, I get them mixed up. I always get those words mixed up.
That's
niece is better. Yeah,
niece.
She's female. Idiot.
But we learn later on that she's.
He'll just cut that out later.
Not only is she not his niece, she's not even the same race as him.
No, she's not.
She's a white Martian, and there's this sort of war between the white Martians and the green Martians. The green Martians look considerably more human-like.
They're humanoid, yeah. They walk on two legs and things. And
white Martians are these crazy, gnarly-looking, weird.
Yeah, they're like
all right,
four-legged creatures with like no eyes and big jaws. Like they're redonkulous.
Let me go ahead and get a picture so I can describe them to you. We got this. No worries.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they walk on two legs too.
So
they're just hunched.
Imagine the cone heads, but with various exposed bits of red flesh, really gangly, almost
sharp
like
teeth,
almost like a copy, like a. Okay, imagine. Imagine a fusion, if you will, between the man-bat and a conehead.
Oh gosh.
And thus we have, and all the white skin, yeah. Thus we have the white Martians.
They're horrific.
Yeah, they're pretty scary looking.
They're about as scary as you'd imagine.
They're really gnarly looking. Teeth and almost somewhat xenomorph-like.
Yes, very much like xenomorphs.
Yes.
Like from Alien.
The alien from the movie Alien. You aren't
That's
familiar.
it from Supergirl.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. Cool. Any hoozles.
But yeah.
So it's just really taboo that she is this thing.
Yeah, because the white Martians and the green Martians do not get along. In fact, they've been at war for a long time.
Yeah.
I think the story is that the white Martians actually wiped out most of the green Martians.
Yes, from what I understand, Martian Manhunter is one of the last ones. Yes.
Yeah.
But
which is one of the
he's
reasons.
Such a good freaking guy.
Yeah.
Because of all that time he spent disguised as a human, learning about the humans.
Yes.
Which
just the way you're saying "mans" tonight.
It's really late, David.
No, I know. I get you, bro. I get you. We're gonna get there.
When did he do that? I think he did that in Justice League Unlimited, which you haven't seen.
I've probably seen some of it. I mean, I've seen some of the episodes, but
there's a cool moment. I think it's at the end of the first season of that show when he just leaves the Justice League and he's like, I'm gonna go do me for a bit.
Yeah, no, I did hear about that.
He just disguises himself as a man and walks amongst the men's. Even settles down. I think marries some.
Yep. Vision's got kind of a story like that now in the current Marvel comics. He's got he's got a family now and stuff. It's very neat. But yeah, so all that goes on. Yeah, no, they have a Miss Martian now.
What?
Yeah, in Supergirl. It's a thing. I need to catch up, I know.
You need to catch up. I've watched 2 episodes of that show. Anyway.
Supergirl has that stuff. If you want to watch Supergirl on CW, check it out.
But M'gann is really she's really self-conscious. She's really afraid that she's going to be found out.
Yeah.
She's afraid that she won't be accepted, which are real fears I think a lot of people go through. And I really
they're very
enjoy
relatable
seeing
fears.
that.
Especially, and she portrays it very well in that, like, she kind of, like, she latches onto this, like, teenage girl character from a TV show she's a fan of.
Called Megan.
Named Megan.
Which is... where she gets her name.
Yeah, it's
also the only annoying thing she does.
Yeah, it's a little cheesy and annoying.
Cheesy "Hello Megan" thing. Whenever it's dumb.
Awful.
That is the worst thing about this show.
But
that's the only bad
thing. They don't do it long. Like once they get through season 1, basically, she doesn't know if she ever does it again in season 2. She might have done it a few times, I think, but mainly she kind of grows out of that in 5 years.
Yeah, thank goodness.
But yeah, it's one of those things she's struggling with. She's like in her adolescence, I guess. She's still young. She's still a teenager like the rest of them, and so she struggles with those kinds of insecurities and fears and stuff. Yeah.
And it's one thing that I really like. They develop a relationship between her and Superboy, which is cool because Superboy
both being like aliens with tech,
Yeah. Well, Superboy at first, so Megan sort of connects the team, becomes the team's sort of psychic linker.
Yeah.
So the team can communicate
without devices.
Or anything like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
But in so doing, they have to all be aware that they're in one another's heads, and that they can feel one another's feelings. They can relate. They can sense when other people are not happy or what they're thinking about, different things of that nature. And that's scary for Megan because she doesn't want anyone to know about things. There's a point where. And then Superboy hates that because he barely understands communicating on a regular level. Having other people in his head is terrible. Also because that's how he was raised, sort of. He's been fed this...
basically been pumped stuff into his brain.
He's been psychically fed a whole lot of propaganda and different knowledges and things like that since he was little. So he's really against the psychic connection thing. But he learns to deal with it, and he learns to accept M'gann, and you find out later on, eventually it's revealed that M'gann is this white Martian, and she just kind of feels like everyone would hate her. But there's a really cool moment where Superboy says, it's all right, I've known this for a while, because there's a moment in like mid-season where there's this weird psychic occurrence, and Superboy and M'gann, and I think maybe one of the villains or someone else, all have this like mental break or mental battle thing together. And anyway, in so doing, Superboy glimpses basically all of M'gann's memories, but she doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
And so he's known for a while that she was a white Martian. He just didn't care.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. He was very accepting of her.
He's a very cool guy. He's
awesome. Yeah. Which is why, spoiler alert, when you get into the second season, when they're not together, it breaks my heart. Yeah, I hate that.
I hate when they do that in stories, though. But like at the same time, it does feel very comic booky in that like that happens a lot. Yeah. In that like there's characters like Green Arrow and Black Canary that are in the comics are constantly like getting together, getting divorced.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be.
Anyway,
it's just odd.
M'gann's really cool. Kid Flash
he's very quick, and he's like not just
quick. He's funny. He's the
He's the comic relief a little bit.
Yeah.
He's also kind of the ladies' man.
He's
in the
the ladies'
sense
man.
He's always hitting on people. He's a lot like Lance when we talked about in Voltron last episode.
Like Sokka.
Yep,
he's
like
the weird ladies' man. He always gets souvenirs, which I think shows up later.
I think that's very neat because it reminds me of Robin from Teen Titans. Robin used to grab souvenirs off camera from all the villains he defeated.
He's a fun character, and he grows, and you see him change and learn. Just like all the rest of them. He's real fun. He's fast. Like we said, he eventually makes the big sacrifice at the end of season 2. He's just a good guy to have around. He's not as complicated as the others, I don't feel.
Yeah, but he still has his moments. Like, he has some really interesting character development as the series progresses.
We have Artemis.
Yeah.
Who is the daughter of Sports Master, which is not known to the team at first. She's basically,
and her mother we know I don't remember what her, I think she's Huntress. I'm not certain.
I think
but her mother is a known supervillain who has been reformed. Basically, she's gone through. She served her time or whatever, and I think she's paralyzed.
She's paralyzed now.
Yeah. But her, which is what happens when you finish prison. No, I'm just kidding. But as we all know, but no, Sportsmaster is out and about doing villainous stuff, and but she is his son or daughter.
And so Artemis, I think, originally was placed.
My brain.
Daughter. It's late. Artemis was originally placed on the team as like a mole, like a spy. I think her purpose was originally to turn on the team, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Sportsmaster sends her to go to the team. And I like that Green Arrow introduced her as like his niece as well.
I think also niece or cousin, something
like that. Like, they're related.
He was like, this chick's cool, she uses a bow like me, so you can trust her.
Yeah.
But you can't.
And nobody, yeah. It was, yeah.
Also, another not member of the team, but critical to the team is Red Arrow.
Yes.
Who is originally known as Speedy.
Yep.
He's the sidekick of Green Arrow, and he kind of more or less is the thing that starts this whole mess.
Yeah.
Because he's brought with the other original three, Calderon, who's...
Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about Alcalad.
We didn't talk about Alcalad. We'll talk about him in a bit. Robin and Kid Flash, those four are brought to the Hall of Justice or whatever in the Hall first of Justice, episode. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's the one who kind of sees through this nonsense, who's like, hey, they're not actually treating us like a team. They're not giving us any responsibility. This is just a glorified backstage tour.
Yeah, they're just,
that's it, and I'm done. And he leaves the team.
This is just a medal for being there.
And so I think that's kind of what sparks at least Kid Flash and maybe Robin to go out and be like, you know what, let's go actually do something.
Yeah, let's make a team and do some cool stuff.
And then when they
together.
have their team and they get their team together, they try and go back and get Speedy, who's referring to himself as Red Arrow now, to join the team, and he's like, nah, I'm good, thanks though.
Yeah. And he kind of gets a rough go of it too later on when he finds out.
Especially because he's not even
the person
he thinks he is.
Yeah.
He's a clone.
Yeah.
Roy Harper.
Of Roy Harper, yeah.
And he's a sleeper agent, and he was put in.
Yep.
He was basically there to sabotage the Justice League, really, more or less.
Which is very comic booky. It's very well done.
This is
and it's the first. Like, I remember seeing that and being like, "That's
term.
Awesome."
Comic booky.
Yes, very.
Quote like David.
Like unto.
Like unto the comic book.
Yes.
And last but not least, Calderon.
Yes.
Let's talk about him. Calderon is Aqualad. He is the leader of the team. He's super cool. He's voiced by Cyborg, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The voice.
Cyborg.
I don't know the voice actor's name, but he voiced. Yeah, the guy that voiced Cyborg from Teen Titans. He almost didn't get the job because Greg Weisman didn't want didn't want the same voice actors from Teen Titans to be in Young Justice because he was worried it would confuse audiences.
Right.
But apparently he just knocked his audition out of the park, and so he gave him the part.
Yeah,
so
it's cool, and it's not. It's just like he doesn't sound like.
No, he plays.
Cyborg.
He's a diffdifferent character.
He plays Calderon. It's really
it's a
good.
different range for sure.
Real cool.
Yeah.
Calderon's awesome. He's
very tactical.
Atlantean, more or less. I don't know if he actually is. I think he might be half.
I don't think he's quite Atlantean. He's something else. He's some other species. He's whatever Mara is because he and her both share the ability to control water.
Okay.
Like she's not an Atlantean, but she's some kind of mer person type thing.
He's interesting. He's kind of like a mage, whatever, with water.
Yeah.
He's real cool. He's very stern. He's very calculated. Mm-hmm. He's intelligent.
He takes things very seriously, which is great.
He's very strong. He's one of the stronger members of the team physically.
Yeah, physically, yeah. As far as power set goes, he and Superboy can go at it pretty powerfully.
He's super awesome. And you see him grow as well. Because you see him... Yeah. There's an episode where we see him and his two friends originally from... Atlantis, which is Mara one of them?
Tula is the girl.
That's the name. Tula, and then the other guy...
Can't remember.
Who looks like the typical Aqualad, right? The white guy with black hair, long black hair, who you would see in like Teen Titans.
Yeah. He looks like that guy.
So apparently he grew up with these two, and he trained with these two, and he chose to leave Atlantis to be more or less on this team, or to be with Aquaman.
To work with Aquaman,
yes.
Mm-hmm. And they chose to continue their studies with magic and things like that.
Yeah. And so it's him coming to grips with the fact that he's left this girl that he liked, who has now developed feelings for this other guy because they spend more time together without him. And he has to understand that he's made a choice, he's left this other life behind, and he has to deal with that. And be happy and content with what he has. And be proud of what he has, because he is good, and he does his job well.
He's a very, very cool character.
And he is needed where he's at, not necessarily in Atlantis. Which is cool. I like him.
He also has some pretty heavy struggles in season 2 with his father being Black Manta.
So his father's Black Manta, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Season 2 is so fun. Man. But season 1's great. Anywhoozles, all season 1 is about the light, and all season 2 is more or less about the light.
More or less about the light. There's more beetles in that. Mm-hmm. But there's light involved. Light was a part of it. Yes. The light being a collection of villains.
That you don't even really know.
Really intelligent villains.
Until the end of season 1.
Yeah. Very similar to Marvel's Illuminati, which y'all probably don't know about because it's a comic book thing and haven't made it into movies. But although the Illuminati in Marvel is a group of the good guys. So it's like Iron Man and Professor Xavier and characters that would never bond together in the movies because of legal purposes.
Iron Man, Professor Xavier, and who else?
I think Mr. Fantastic.
Okay.
Bruce Banner, I think, is in it. Bruce Banner was in it before they kicked him off, and that's how Planet Hulk becomes a thing. Yeah. So it was basically, I think Doctor Strange might have been. It was basically all the most intelligent members of the Marvel universe working together. And they were really smart. So So Mr. Fantastic would be in that group. So we got that's right there. That's 3 different. That's a split right down the middle between all 3 of the franchises. But Young Justice does a really cool job with their villains. Their villains are very mysterious early season 1, and they have a really neat reveal towards the end. And then
and the other thing that's gnarly and crazy and slightly annoying at times. Because this isn't the only show that does this, but other things were like, an episode will end, and you'll be like, yeah, they really stuck it to them. The heroes won. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. And then there's like this little cut of someone in the light being like, yes, exactly as we planned. And I'm like, you can't have planned all of this failure together, but apparently they did, and all this nonsense.
They're like Batman.
They were essentially the whole time.
That's how Batman works.
Giving,
which is one of the reasons I don't like Batman sometimes. There's some times where I'm just like, all right, Batman,
just as I planned it.
Pull it, reel it in a little, pull it back, Batman.
But yeah, it's crazy to me. They spend basically the whole season tricking everyone. Into thinking that they're getting the better of this group called the Light, but then they don't.
They're not even playing the same game.
It's really great. Zatanna. She shows up later. I forgot that she was in this group.
She shows up. Yeah, she shows up in the middle of season 1, and she continues with them season 2.
Zatanna
Zatara,
daughter of Zatara Zatanna.
Yep. Magic user. She uses reverse, like she uses backwards words to cast
she can
spells.
say something backwards, and that casts the spell of whatever it is she's trying to do.
She's a very powerful magic user in the comics. She at some point dates Constantine a few times, but not in the show. Constantine doesn't show up in the show, but I am hoping that he might show up in this new season because there's introducing a few new characters, and one of those new characters is Tracy 13, and Tracy 13 is a powerful magic user as well. She's a girl that does magic. Her father is a notorious skeptic. He just doesn't believe a lot of the things that are going on around him. He thinks it's all. He thinks he works with the Phantom Stranger a lot, and he thinks the Phantom Stranger and he thinks the Phantom Stranger is a con man. He thinks it's all just lies.
Probably. Yeah. It's not like the guy that doesn't believe in God when they're at a funeral.
At a funeral in DC, yeah. There's a funeral. Yeah, there's a funeral they go to for I forget what hero. I think it's after Final Crisis or something. But yeah, there's somebody that's just like, yeah, I don't believe it. I'm an atheist, and I think Tim Drake or somebody there is just like, what do you mean you don't believe in God? Like Blue Devil is right there and he's smoking.
Yeah,
and
because they're sitting in the church.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
And the Phantom, the Spectre is right over there.
Yeah.
All you.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. But yeah, so I mean, I'm excited for that.
So we've talked mostly about season 1. We're at nearly an hour.
I want to briefly talk about season 3. We can skip over season 2. Y'all can watch season 2. Check it out.
Watch season 2. We might come back and talk about it again another day.
It's really
We've mentioned plenty of things about season 2.
If you haven't seen it, go see all of it.
One thing I want to mention real quick before we talk about season 3. There's a part of Superboy that I really, really like. That thing is really cool. I think it's a testament to how
and we can do favorite episodes.
Smart this show is. Yeah, we talk about favorite episodes. Smart this show is, and how much it relates, and it's not just a show about superheroes punching bad guys, but it does have very relatable characters. And
yes,
one thing that happens to Superboy, I believe it's in season 1. If not, it's in season 2, and we'll talk about it again some other time. But Superboy at one point is approached by Lex Luthor, who gives him these patches, and he's like, "Hey, the reason you can't do all the great things that Superman can do is because you're only part Kryptonian.
Yeah.
All of your human side is holding back the Kryptonian part of you."
Yeah.
So he gives him these patches, and these patches, they're like nicotine patches shaped like the S symbol.
Yep.
So he just drops them on his arm, slaps one on, and it inhibits all of his humanity and his humanness.
Yeah.
So that his Kryptonian abilities can come to full fruition.
Yep.
So he gets flight, he gets that X-ray vision, that ice breath, that heat vision, all that nonsense, all the stuff that Superman can have, and it's really cool because he does that, but he also kind of goes nuts when he does that.
Yeah, he gets very ragey.
He sort of loses himself when he does it, and he does it once, and sort of realizes what happens, like when he's coming down off of it.
Yeah.
And he has these patches in his hand, and he goes to throw them away, and then he thinks about it, and he just looks defeated, and just lets out a sigh, and just keeps them.
Yep.
And I'm like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right there.
Oh, no, yeah.
Like, right there, that's paralleled with, addiction, with mental illness and other things like that, with, like, there's this part of you, there's this thing in your life that you need to get rid of.
Yep.
Or that is bad for you.
Yep.
And you know it is, and you want to go and let it go, but you don't, because there's that fear that settles in. It's like, oh, well, maybe this is the better part of me. Maybe this is what I need. Maybe I can't live without this thing. Mm-hmm. And like I saw that, and you could see all that in just like his face and the way he went to do this thing. He didn't have to say anything, and that was so powerful to me, so interesting to me, to watch him struggle with that particular part of him and himself. Superboy is a really cool character to me.
Yeah.
So it's this show basically. The 3 characters I love in this show are Superboy, in season 1, Superboy, Calder, and Robin. Mm-hmm. They're so interesting to me. But yeah, that's just something I thought I wanted to share because I really, really like that. And again, I think it speaks. And there are plenty of other examples similar to that show the real human struggles that these people have, and why this show is worth watching.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not just.
Do you have a favorite episode, David?
So I know
season 1. Let's do that.
I'm gonna say because season 2 I don't remember as much, and I know there's some really, really good episodes like the one you mentioned in season 2. That's definitely a season 2 thing, I think. But I know it may be season 1. You're right. I don't know. It's confusing. But my favorite episode is in season 1, and it's the one with where the Justice League is deciding to add new members. And they're deciding they're deciding what members to add to the Justice League, and it's very neat.
I love it.
It's very neat because they do a lot of discussion about a lot of different heroes that show up, and like whether or not they should add them, and like what criteria.
Is this the one with Guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where they talk about about adding Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern.
Gosh. So like. Paint the scene for you. We're basically sitting around this table, right? And all these superheroes.
Superman, and Batman, Hawkgirl.
Right. I think Wonder Woman's there.
Wonder Woman, yeah.
There are 2 Green Lanterns on the team currently. Yeah. There's John Stewart and
Hal.
Is it Hal? Yeah. John Stewart and Hal.
I'm assuming it's Hal. It may be Kyle, but I'm pretty sure it's Hal.
I think it was Hal too, yeah. It's those 2. And then they look at them and they're like, well, what about
Guy Gardner?
And they're just like, no. In unison, they're both like, nah. Nope.
Yeah. Nope.
Negative. Keep on going.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I love it, and you do really get to see him go on like
So Guy Gardner is a Green Lantern.
Yeah,
but he's just like
he's super aggro and
big
he doesn't take
goofball.
he doesn't take no for an answer. He doesn't like authority. He just
is he a professional football player? Is that what he is?
I think that was what he was growing up. I think his normal job is that he's like a PI or something like that. I don't know. He's something tough, like he's a cop or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
When he's not being a Green Lantern, he's something tough.
I just love that they were both like, nope. Next.
Yeah, but no, it was really neat because that was like right after
green guys.
That was right after they found out that Shazam was a child that uses magic word to become Captain Marvel.
Yes, and they have him spend some time with the team too.
Yeah, and so they wonder cool. like what's too young to be in the Justice League? Who's too old? Like this is a kid, but he gains the wisdom of Solomon when he becomes Captain Marvel, and they talk about is it talk about years because Superboy is technically only a year old or only a few months old, but he's definitely an adult. Yeah. And so it's like it was a very interesting discussion about what it takes to be a hero and what it qualifies to be in the Justice League and things like that. It was very neat. And meanwhile, the team is doing their own thing on the ground, which is very cool. I think a close second would probably be the episode where they go on the training mission in their minds basically, and it backfires and they all they forget that it's a training mission because of McGann's psychic powers, because it traumatizes them. And I like that episode because it actually affects the team. They actually go through some struggles for a while. Black Canary gives them some therapy, and it takes a while for them to actually overcome that one episode because it was such a traumatic event to them. I thought that was very neat because you don't see that kind of, like you mentioned, mental illness or mental trouble in shows like this, especially like this. Are you looking at?
I'm looking at the different episodes so that I can remind myself which one's here and figure out which one might be my favorite. Gosh, there's so many and I don't remember all of them.
It's okay. While you're looking at that, I'll talk to you about season 3 news. So, season 3, they have. I mentioned Tracy 13 is a new character that's going to be added. There's also apparently a character named Bash Bashford is being added. I don't know much about him. I looked him up. I think he's a villain. So I don't know how I feel about that. But I don't think he's an important villain. But they're talking about using a lot of tertiary characters and C-grade heroes and stuff like that, and giving them alternate backstories and kind of making them their own. So we'll see about that. So they did release some art for the new season, and I guess you guys can Google it, but this is what the new characters are going to look like in a few years. And one of the big things that people have taken from this image is there's no Miss Martian.
Skinny. Oh yes, there's no Miss Martian.
And so when people are wondering what that.
But
means.
I mean, there's also no Calder.
Yeah. Well, this is just one picture, but there's a couple of the pictures they've released, but I don't. Those are just I'm just Googling, so that's I don't know what all these things are, but
yeah.
But yeah, so there's some. Oh, I think this is the actual new art. But yeah, again, you're right, no Calder, but they have a spoiler in there, and I think she's supposed to be KT-13. So yeah.
No, that's Kim Possible.
That's Kim Possible. But yeah. Also, I found out that the season 3 is coming out on DC's digital service, which I don't know what that is. It's not coming out on Netflix, apparently. It's coming out on DC's own streaming service, which may or may not be good.
It's probably going to be bad.
It's probably going to be awful.
Just like every other independent or every other streaming service attached to a company.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. But also, the producers and directors, they've talked about how they don't know if they're going to do a season 4 or 5. They said but they have plans. They have a story written for a season 4 and a season 5, but it'll all depend on how well season 3 does. So
it'll probably do better if they put it on Netflix.
We're gonna have to make sure we tune in on DC's digital service for it to get its shot.
Put it on Netflix. Why do this to yourself? You're just gonna.
We also know season 3 is planned to have 26 episodes. and they've already completed about 11 of them.
That's good.
They're saying it. I read an article, and I don't know what this means, but they read an article that says it takes about a year to finish an episode. And I was like, well, it didn't take you 26 years to make this show, so I don't think that's true. I don't know what you're talking about, but that was something I read.
It could be like 26 teams working individually, each on an episode.
Yeah, maybe. I can see that. But so they have that, and they also say that because they're doing it on DC Digital Service and not on Cartoon Network, they're going to be doing a little bit more mature stuff. They're going to have a few more mature themes with the show, but they have stated that they don't want to take it to any kind of extremes, because they want to keep the show, like they want to keep like the show to be what it is still. Like they're going to want to keep heart of the show the same.
Put it on Netflix.
Right.
I'm so terrified that this decision to put it on not Netflix
also
is gonna kill it.
Also with that, it is unclear whether or not the show will all be posted at one time on DC service or if it'll be a week-to-week thing on their monthly service. We have no idea. But we also know it's coming out next year, but we don't know when. So
that makes me so sad.
Very little knowledge about season 3, but it's coming, guys. You know what it feels like to me? It feels like Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
That's what it is, bro. It's all it is. It's just like, we've been waiting for this moment, and now it's coming, and everybody's just like, oh man, Kingdom Hearts 3 is so close! And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's not even. But yeah. Were you able to find a favorite episode?
No, I don't know what my favorite episode is from season 1. It's all good. Just watch
it. It's all good. Watch all of the episodes.
Watch every episode. My favorite episode is every one of them. But they're good. Watch them. Hopefully, we will get to see season 3 on not the DC service, whatever. Hopefully they'll just drop it to Netflix after they finish airing it on the DC thing.
That'll probably be...
Then people will actually watch it, and they'll realize, oh, we should have done this from the first place.
Yeah, probably. That's probably what happened. Or it'll be put on DC's digital service, not do well,
and then they'll consider it a failure.
They'll be like, that's enough of that, and then they'll put it on Netflix.
5 years later, they'll put it on Netflix.
Amazing on Netflix, yes. And then they'll
I don't understand why they don't just put it on Netflix right now. Like, that's probably exactly what will happen.
Yep.
It'll be 5 years from the time it airs on whatever service this is. They'll put it on Netflix. It'll kill, and they'll be like, man, we should do another season, and we'll put it on our new and improved DC service.
Yep.
Like, no.
Put it on Netflix.
Put it on Netflix.
Yeah, no, I get it.
We'll put it out on DVD when like 3 people have DVDs.
Yeah. But they know print media is dead. Anyway.
Anywhoozles. Oh, what are we going to talk about now?
Do you want to take it? I can take it next if you want.
You know what? No, I should go ahead and get mine out of the way.
All right.
You're going to talk about a DC thing, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about a DC
thing. We'll give you some space between the first DC thing and this DC thing, just so people don't get confused, David.
Okay, don't want to get confused.
Because again, I don't know. If you've gotten this far and you don't do DC things, or you haven't watched Young Justice, I don't understand. But
just do the thing, guys.
Yeah.
You know it.
Okay, I want to talk about something that's on Netflix, because that's where intelligent people put things they want people to watch. It's called Troll Hunters, and it's real good, and I enjoy it quite a bit. It's so good, David.
Yeah.
So it's from this guy, Guillermo del Toro. It's from Guillermo del Toro, and it's real cool. Guillermo del Toro is...
He's great.
He's good.
He's so freaking cool.
He knows what he's doing, and he does a good job at it.
Yep.
This show...
and Ron Perlman in everything.
Ron Perlman's up in this mug, too. It's great. This, I think this was based off of books.
Is it?
Or something.
That's cool.
I'm not entirely certain.
So what is it?
But I think it's in the way that, like, some things are based off books, but only, like, loosely. I'm not super sure.
Oh, okay, maybe. Kind of like, I feel like that's how it is with the How to Train Your Dragons movies.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's a series of books based off it, but the movie is basically
I could be wrong about that. If I am, let me know. I don't.
Tell us.
I vaguely recall that.
In the doobly-doos.
But I'm not super sure. Any hoozles. It came out. It came out towards the end of last year. And it's definitely geared towards kids. But because there's a lot of the humor in it is just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
There's some like dumb bathroom humor and some definite campy stuff.
Sure. However,
there is plenty of character development. There's plenty of cool, dark themes. It's real interesting. So essentially, you've got your world of humans, and you've got your world of trolls that lives underneath all the humans.
Nice.
And these trolls have something called a troll hunter. So their troll hunter isn't necessarily someone that hunts trolls. It is typically a troll that is their like key protector warrior.
Yeah.
And he defends all of the good trolls against all the bad trolls.
Yeah.
And uses...
Do all the bad trolls hide under bridges and
actually
all the
entrances to like just troll world are under bridges.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I don't think I noticed that
actual thing.
I've only seen like 2 episodes of the show and I did not notice that.
That is a fact. And bridges are used as like gates and gateways. In fact, the main driving plot point of the first half of the first season is, so at this point, all of the dark trolls, the bad guys, have been sealed off into this nether realm.
Okay.
And the gate to that...
Do they call it the realm?
I don't know what it's called. The gate to that realm has been broken. The gate is a bridge.
Okay.
And there are... One of the bad trolls, like the son of the main bad troll, who is the guy that's voiced by Ron Perlman.
Ronnie P.
Bular, whatever, however he's named. I don't remember exactly. He's the main bad guy for the first half of the first season.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, he's defeated.
Oh, what? The hero wins, Ethan? Come on.
Trolls. Well, he's defeated in the first half of the first season. That's the spoiler.
Well.
He's not the main bad guy for the whole season.
Spoiler is...
Another interesting thing, sunlight is bad for trolls. It turns them into rocks permanently.
Bad, they don't like it?
Correct.
Okay.
Indeed.
Wait, it turns them into what?
Rocks.
Oh, gosh.
It turns them to stone.
That's awful.
Yes, okay. You're right. But not like gargoyles where, like, you know, they'll eventually turn back into real things at night. No, they're done. They're dead.
Oh, wow.
If sunlight's bad for them, yeah. That's what sunlight does for them. Yes, so there's a whole lot of fun. Jim is the main character. He essentially acquires this... he acquires the suit of armor that troll hunters have, and it chooses him. So it's like a weapon that chooses him. He gets the armor and the big nice sword, and he becomes the troll hunter. And then these trolls bring him down to the troll place, and they're like, look, this is our new troll hunter. And everybody's like, blah, he's just a little human boy. He can't be the troll hunter.
Yeah.
And like the son of the previous troll hunter is really upset and mad.
Yep.
And at first he's an antagonist, but eventually becomes sort of like he warms up to him and becomes sort of a member of the team.
Nice.
It's really cool. A lot of awesome fights. The characters are fun. Jim's really fun. His friend Toby's really really cheeky, really fun.
The little I've seen of the show has been he's been a really fun part of it, and also the trolls basically kind of like running Jim through the... Is it Jim you said?
Jim.
Jim through the ringer, basically trying to train him up to be a troll hunter, has been kind of hysterical early on.
It is. It's super good. It's super fun because they're all just like basically... So Blinky is the main sort of mentor for Jim. He's the troll. And he just like... He's just sort of like haphazardly and happy-go-luckily placing the fate of an entire race of beings on the shoulders of this like 13-year-old.
Yeah, it's put very lightly.
It's real funny.
Yes.
He's like, oh, it's all right. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
no worries, Jim. The worst that can happen is you'll die.
Yeah, right.
And then we'll all die.
And then
we believe in you. It's good. It's great. But because we'll all die, I don't think you'll lose. And then so like the main actual antagonist ends up being this guy named Strickler, who is like a history teacher at Jim's school, who happens to be what's called a changeling.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah, spoilers for the show, by the way.
I just suspect his teacher was something because his teacher talks to the bad guy.
So Strickler is what's referred to as a changeling. A changeling is, it's not fully explained, but they are troll-like.
Okay.
But they're trolls that are given an ability to be in human form half the time, so they can exist in the human world. And he can change form at will, change back into his troll form at will.
Cool.
And they're typically small. They're thinner than most trolls. Most trolls are large, wide,
giant. Yeah, they're really tough and burly.
But
looking.
these changelings typically aren't. You see a couple more changelings throughout the show. It's revealed how changelings come to be, which is a baby is switched shortly after birth with this changeling, this tiny troll, because the smaller trolls are the ones, I guess, that can escape the netherworld, the nether region, better than the bigger ones, I guess. I don't know. That's not explained entirely. But because of this, another driving factor, Jim has a friend named Claire, who is like the main love interest for him. And she has a younger brother named Enrique, who gets swapped out for a changeling that they refer to as not Enrique. That's literally how he's listed on IMDb. Jimmy Wood plays not Enrique.
Not Enrique. Okay.
And he actually sort of becomes kind of an ally.
Okay.
Like a double agent.
Yeah.
For their side.
What happened to Enrique? Is he dead?
Enrique is, the trick about it is the babies can't be harmed in this process, else everything breaks.
Okay.
So the babies are actually kept more or less cared for. Yeah. But they're basically just in this permanent sleep kind of deal in
kind of a stasis type thing.
I think so, in a crib in the netherworld. So Enrique is gone, and that's another driving force as to why we want to actually fix this problem and change things. So the first half of the first season is very driven. Mm-hmm. It's driven up to this point of we have to stop these people from making this bridge. Because the other thing about this, they're trying to reform this bridge to the netherworld, the bad guys are. Mm-hmm. And they need Homeboy's gem. Mm-hmm. They need the crest, the little gem thing that makes the troll hunter's armor. And it has to be used willingly to open this gate.
Oh, wow. That's really specific criteria.
It is. Well, it's the power source that made the gate. And
I know, but it's like, you'd think that
it's a source
it would work whether willingly or unwillingly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a source of troll magic. It's the gem that makes him the troll hunter. I'm speaking of the weapon. It's really cool. After the first half of the first season, when they defeat Bular, the show feels like it kind of drags its feet for a bit. We get this like stand-in bad guy called Angor Rot, who is also really neat and really interesting. Mm-hmm. He has a personal history similar to Dracula from Dracula Untold, or from more like Dracula from Dracula Untold. Okay. He in that like he was one of the races of trolls. So there are different races of trolls as well. Okay. He was one of them, and he had a village that he was trying to protect, and he was trying to protect them from the Bular's father's like onslaught. The reason that all the bad trolls got hidden away is because they were trying to take over all of the troll world. Mm-hmm. And this guy was the leader of his little village, and he was looking to stop or be able to protect his village. Yeah. So he goes to this troll witch who gives him the ability, but he basically sells his soul to become powerful and magical, but
like you do.
Yeah, but like soulless and empty.
Okay.
And so he basically just becomes angry for the rest of his life.
Oh my god!
Which is forever.
Yeah.
You see this happen, like you see it in a flashback, all of this that goes on, and you can feel for him. Yeah. And he's really cool. He's an interesting character. So anyway, but he's sort of a stand-in bad guy for the second half of the first season. Yeah. And other things that happen, one thing that I like about the second half is that they develop Jim's crew a little bit better. Like his friends and stuff. And
the trolls that are training him.
Yeah, and Claire comes into knowledge that trolls exist, because up till this point, it's just Jim and Toby are the only humans that are aware of the trolls. Claire learns about them. Well, actually, Claire learns about it a little bit earlier, I think, with Enrique being taken and all that nonsense. Anyways.
Do they gain powers or fight trolls in any way?
They start learning things. I think Toby gets some kind of magical hammer, which is cool. I think Claire might get a weapon. I'm not super sure.
It's mainly just Jim that does the fighting.
Yeah, Jim mainly does it. They get involved into it as well, but they're not the chosen one or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which is what Jim is. Another thing they start doing is Angorot's looking for certain gemstones, which is what they also need to be looking for, because when they find them, they can cut the stones, and they can put those stones into Jim's armor, and that gives him more abilities. Which is really cool. It gives him new weapons.
So he gets like upgrades and things like that?
It gives like different, like Zoids?
Yeah.
You're watching Zoids?
Yeah, very little bit.
Okay. Do you know that the Liger Zero has different suits of armor that they put around it? You're so lame, David. You're the lamest
I don't want a VHS of Zoids, Ethan.
I own 2 of them. They're right up there. I don't know what else I can... if I knew more Power Ranger stuff, I'd make a Power Ranger
I'm sure there's a Power Ranger thing in there. That's fine.
Analogy.
It's okay.
It's not necessarily an upgrade, just as it is a different option for him to use.
So that's, every season of Power Rangers after, well, even including Jungle Fury, tended to have this thing where, like, when they gained new Zords, they could just swap out an arm with one of the new Zords or something.
So, like, another problem that they run into with Angorot is Angorot puts this sort of hex on Jim on his first set of armor, and that anytime Jim invokes the armor, Angorot can then take control of the armor.
Ooh.
So that's a problem when they're fighting him.
That's awful. Yeah, what the heck?
But when he gets the new gems, he can use... Those gems haven't been hexed, so he can use those weapons against Angorot.
Cool.
It is interesting. The second
Angorot is the big bad for the show, right?
He's the stand-in villain for the second half of the second season.
Cool.
It's at the end of the second half of the first season. End of the second half of the first season, when Angorot's been vanquished, that Jim finally gets it in his head and understands, okay, I need to finish this, and the season... Okay, again, spoilers, if you're listening to this, I don't know that I'm going to say things that you don't want to know if you haven't seen it yet, so go see it.
Say all the things, Ethan.
At the end of the season, first season, it ends with the troll hunter, Jim, forming the gate himself into the netherworld, and opening it, walking in, and taking the key out. So he traps himself in the netherworld to go after the big bad and end everything.
That's awesome.
Which is cool, right? It's so freaking cool. He also gets a new set of armor in the process of doing that. It's all like dark and like black and red. And gosh, it looks so cool.
That's very metal.
Super metal, right? And then they just roll credits. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because, like, okay, so here's the sad deal about this show.
Yeah.
If you have watched it, if you know anything about it, or if you're looking up on IMDb, the main character, Jim, was played by Anton Yelchin.
Yeah.
Who passed away last year, I believe.
Yeah, it's 2016, yeah. What a year.
Gosh, what a year. But yeah, he passed away, and so, like, it's real sad, and at the end of it, there's this whole thing that's, like, dedicated to our troll hunter, Anton Yelchin. So I have no idea what it means for the future of the show. I probably should have looked up.
Wait, that's like all of it on Netflix? That's how it ends?
Yes.
Ethan!
That's season 1.
You wanted me to start this show?
Yes! I want you to go rewatch this show. It's so good.
I'm gonna be stuck with you.
It's so good! Shut up. Maybe watch Firefly. Go watch this show.
At least Firefly had a movie that wraps it up.
Well, maybe they'll have a movie. I don't know. See, I don't know if they're gonna stop, though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they could always kind of recast him. I mean, I guess. Hopefully.
Yes, they can. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so... But that's nuts. I didn't know it just ended like that. That's hardcore.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a little bit of information on season 2. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
IDK.
I don't know how well the first season did.
I think it did well. I think it was enjoyed. It was enjoyed by me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure somebody enjoyed it for sure. Yeah, I believe that.
Once they've already started doing stuff and I didn't know about it, now I'm gonna get excited. I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just one season.
Okay.
They can recast them. Yes, that's definitely a thing they can do. And I do hope for my own sanity that they do.
For my own sanity, yes.
Right? I mean, like,
boy, I hear that.
I really want to know. I just want to know more about this, and I want them to take this story further because it has further to go. But yes, it's great. I hope it goes farther. Maybe maybe they feel like they need to give it some space or some time because of the Anton Yelchin thing. But I don't know. I do hope that eventually we learn more.
Sure. Maybe they put out some comics or something and wrap it up that way.
Maybe they do. I don't know.
That'd be interesting. I don't know. That's neat. I didn't realize that it did that.
It's great. Watch it.
Yes.
Oh, please watch it. Anyways, maybe I'll learn more about Season 2 and talk about it later and bring it up at some point.
Update us.
Definitely. But you should watch it. It's good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good show. It's a little hidden little gem on Netflix. Again, it's geared towards children, so if you're too
not without it.
If you're too snooty to watch something for your younger audiences, don't worry about it. But if you enjoy a good, clean show that has fun character development and interesting challenges for young people, go for it. It's good.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. That sounds like a neat show. I'll have to finish that show. So I can get mad all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, bro.
What you got for us today, David?
So today, I'm going to talk about Injustice. Not the games, the comic. So I'm going to talk about the comic Injustice. I haven't read Ground Zero, and I haven't read the Injustice 2 comic. So it's just going to be specifically the 5-year comic series of the Injustice storyline, which, for those of you who don't know, Injustice is a fighting game of DC heroes taking place in an alternate DC timeline where Superman, his wife, Lois Lane, gets murdered, basically. He is tricked by the Joker mixing fear toxin with kryptonite to make him think that his wife is Doomsday, and so he puts Doomsday into space, and in doing so kills Lois Lane, who was really Doomsday in this vision, basically. And she was pregnant with his son, or daughter, pregnant with his kid. We don't know what gender it was. Then I didn't mean to assume it's gender.
Yeah, gosh, damn it. Babies can be girls too.
Right, babies can be girls too. But yeah, she also had the Joker also had implanted a device in her that when her heartbeat had stopped, it would activate a nuclear warhead in the middle of Metropolis. So
that sounds like quite a lot of setup.
Yes,
my word.
So the Joker basically
wait a second.
The Joker got tired of losing to Batman.
No. Hold on. So, when we start this comic,
yes,
Superman figures out that his wife is pregnant because he can hear a second heartbeat.
Yes.
You mean to tell me Joker has placed some device on Lois Lane to detect when her heartbeat stops beating?
In her, yeah. He surgically implanted it in her.
To trigger a bomb, and Superman has not noticed this?
He doesn't notice the device. He's under the effects of the sphere toxin. He thinks she's Doomsday, so he's not listening for that.
How long has she had this thing in her?
All of like an hour, maybe. Okay. This all happens within the span of like 2 hours. Like it's so quick. Like basically, what happens is she gets kidnapped by the Joker, and as soon as Superman finds out, he finds Joker, and as soon as he busts in there, Joker immediately hits him with the fear toxin, the gas. He just like shoots him with the gas, just like Batman v Superman, just like pop him with some green gas.
Gosh.
And he automatically assumes.
And he just takes it.
Yeah, he just takes it, and he automatically sees the Lois Lane on the table as Doomsday, instead of his wife. So yeah, it's very quick. It happens very quickly, and all this happens. So Lois Lane's dead, his baby's dead, Metropolis is nuked. So what does Superman do? He
murders the Joker.
He finds Joker.
I love that panel.
And he puts his hand right through his chest.
Yes, he just walks up to the Joker and just stabs his hand through the Joker's chest, through the body. You can see his hand sticking out of the backside of the Joker.
Just like covered
Joker's
in blood.
making this crazy face as he's dying.
He's laughing, yeah.
And my favorite part is Batman in the background looking at this nonsense.
Yeah, just horrified.
In horror, yes. Yeah. And like that panel is just, oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, it's very moving, or it's very,
stirring.
Baby. Yes,
moving.
It's
brings you to tears.
It's rough. It's a sad story.
It's slightly gratifying.
Yeah, no,
because
it is.
Like really, Batman should have killed the Joker forever ago.
Yeah, it's a tough case to make.
No, it's not. The Joker is insane. He kills without question. And he always gets out of whatever Arkham or prison or nonsense that Batman puts him in. Batman knows this man is beyond help. Just kill him.
I'm not going to have this debate right now. It's not what this comic is about.
Oh my god.
Joker's dead.
Anyways.
In this universe, Joker's dead.
In this universe, Joker is dead. Matter. And then Superman becomes a crazy maniac.
So Superman, yeah. Basically, he kills the Joker, and he's like distraught with the events of Lois's death and the death of his city and everything, and so he kind of like sits in that, and finally like he's fed up with all of it. He's fed up with war, he's fed up with conflict, he's fed up with all of it, and so basically he puts the entire planet under kind of like an immediate ceasefire. He basically goes over to this city, like this country of Kwandok or whatever it is, in their sort of fake Middle Eastern country they created, and he basically like overthrow. He stops the shooting. Like he's like blocks all the bullets. He like goes in and pulls out their terrible president, whoever it is that's running their country, that into the ground. Basically, he takes him out. He basically strips him down to his underwear and just throws him to his people. And he's just like, handle this. And he just like bails. And he basically goes on the news and he starts with this big thing. And he's just like, everybody needs to stop everything, stop all the conflict, stop fighting everything. And it's this call to darkness basically for 5 years. The series progresses through 5 years. There's 11 comics, 11 books, I guess. They're making them. I have it in hardcover, but they're doing it in paperback now, where they're like combining the years.
Aren't you fancy?
They're combining the years into books. So it'll probably be 5 paperback books if you want to do it that way.
I'm a real fan. I have them in hardcover.
Yeah, well, I got them whenever. But I like the series, Ethan. Shut up and take my money.
That's true. You do, David.
But so yeah, so it's a long comic. It's a long series, but it's very, very good. So each of the 5 years, you see Superman struggle with the decisions he's making in his life.
Right.
You see that it's not like he killed Joker and he's evil overnight.
Yeah.
But he's definitely like not thinking as clearly in the first few years, and as he commits these heinous crimes early on, it just gets him into this mindset that this is his life now. Basically, like he has like to protect those he loves. He needs to basically just kill anybody that stands in his way, and it
sounds like a plan. Yeah,
it's rough. Like it is a dark comic, and there's a kill count in that. There's some bodies that get dropped in this series. Like I want to say like somewhere between 40 and 50 major DC heroes and characters get offed in this series.
What universe is it?
I don't know what, they don't give it a number, but for the game's purposes, they refer to it as Earth 2, and Earth 1 is the universe set. So in the fighting game takes place 5 years after Superman is turned, and basically Batman has been the only one fighting him, or he's fighting him, but most of his regime, most of his rebellion has kind of fallen, and it's basically just Batman. And so Batman's final last-ditch effort is he creates this device using the help of Lex Luthor, who in this universe is a friend of Superman, but he's working as a double agent with Batman because he understands Superman is not in his right mind. He's not thinking straight, things like that. So they make a device that opens a portal up to Earth 1 and pulls in the Justice League from that timeline to come in and fight Superman.
It's similar to Justice League War.
Yeah.
Movie that came out not too long ago.
Yeah.
And like, what's the... we play a game called the DC Deck Builder.
Yeah.
DC deck building game from Cryptozoic. One of the versions of the game is the Forever Evil. Is that a comic as well?
That is a comic. That's a series of comics.
Comparable to this?
Forever Evil is Ultraman. He gets pulled in from an alternate universe. Yes, there's a few heroes from an alternate universe that are pulled in.
There's like alternate versions of the Justice League that are evil.
They're evil, yeah. I think they're coming from Earth 3 or something.
But like comparable concepts where a Justice League from one universe is pulled in to fight a bad or far gone.
Different Justice League.
Screwed up Justice League and different one. Yeah. Anyway, back to Injustice.
But yeah, no. So it's tough, and it's both sides aren't. Batman isn't innocent in the stuff that he does. So the comic goes on for a while, and there's a lot of decisions made on both sides. Superman is definitely, you early on you're just like he's not thinking clearly and stuff, but as the series progresses you start to see that he's kind of decided that this is the life he's chosen now, and so he commits to it. But Batman does a lot of like sneaky stuff, like he tends to he like kidnaps people, and he does all these different things to try and get people to he basically does all he can to recruit people for his rebellion against Superman, because Superman basically puts the world under like a military state. And it's very tough because for Batman it becomes very desperate, and so he does a lot to try and stop Superman. And like I said, a lot of times people feel that he goes too far too, but at the same time I haven't murdered anybody in cold blood, So it's like, but it's tough for him to keep some of his loyalty from his team, because
that's an interesting argument.
As much as Superman,
I ain't kill nobody.
As much as Superman crosses the line, Batman tends to like waddle around the line.
Yeah,
and so it's just like it's tough for them to, see the good on both sides, or on either side. But the thing about it is, if it was just Superman that was like this, this would be kind of an open and shut case, because the Justice League could probably handle Superman. But it's also the fact that members of the Justice League see Superman, like what he's doing, as the right thing to do, and they take his side. And so the Justice League basically kind of splits down the middle, and a bunch of them root for Superman, a bunch of them root for Batman. And Superman generally getting the stronger, more powered heroes, like he gets Flash, he gets Wonder Woman, he gets Green Lantern, he gets Cyborg. Those characters stick with him, while Batman gets like Aquaman, Batwoman, Nightwing,
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow, yeah, Black Canary, those kind of characters.
Yep.
And and they do a lot to try and stop Superman. And it's like I said, there's a lot of clashes with both sides, from not just Superman and Batman fighting one another, but the characters from either team fighting one another. And there's a lot of people that switch sides because of the things that happen. And one of my gripes with the series was that I felt that some of the characters' motivations for sticking with one side or the other just didn't always match up. But for the most part, they kind of make sense. Like, for instance, at one point, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, leaves the Green Lanterns and becomes a Yellow Lantern, working with Sinestro. But basically,
that's so strange.
It is, and it's a tough thing, because, but it does make a little sense in the context of the comics, because you see that he basically turns on the Green Lanterns because they try to stop Superman, and he feels that Superman is doing what's right. And at first I was just like, well, why would he turn on the entire Green Lantern Corps just to save Superman? But then at the same time, like, the Guardians are wrong a lot. Like, the Guardians, like, it's one of those things where it's like, like, if they arrested somebody and the guy that they arrested was just like, oh, no, I'm innocent, I did this thing, and I'm being framed and all this stuff like that, they'd be like, okay, well, this is kind of like last Tuesday when this thing happened. So, yeah, I guess you're right, probably. It's the Guardians that got this wrong. And so, yeah, he was quick to just be like, no, you guys don't understand what you're talking about, and bail on the Green Lanterns to save Superman. And Sinestro basically capitalizes on the situation by offering his help to Superman, kind of like offering this olive branch, as it were, like, I think, as if he's some benevolent, hero who's come to Superman's aid. Mm-hmm. And he gives Hal and Jon Stewart rings.
So John also turns.
John turns. Well, I don't remember. So it's unclear. I forget. I believe John isn't okay with he does originally leave the Green Lanterns with Hal, but I believe the turning point for him is he doesn't want to become a Yellow Lantern, and I think he ends up dying because of that. He ends up getting killed off because I know Guy definitely gets killed off for that. I know Kyle definitely gets killed off because of that. But a lot of heroes get killed off in this series, and it's very rough. There's a time when in the 5 years, each of the 5 years is broken up into different levels, different avenues that Batman tries to combat Superman. So the first year is the street level. Batman recruits people like Green Arrow, Batman, Nightwing, Batwoman, things like that, like street level heroes. He recruits like Commissioner Gordon, and they create and with the help of Lex Luthor, they create a pill that gives normal people superpowers like super strength and speed and stuff like that, so they can fight Superman on equal terms. And that's the explanation they give for why in the fighting games you could be playing Superman and another person can be playing Batman, and they don't just like punch Batman's face off. Like
not his head, his face.
Yeah, no, not his
cut his face off
with your fist. Yeah, so they make these green pills that give everybody super strength. So he does that, and year 2 it's space, and that's when the Green Lantern Corps show up. That's when the Yellow Lantern Corps show up to fight. There's a few other aliens that show up in the mix, like Mongol, Darkseid, things like that. Because in this version, Darkseid's not like an interdimensional being; he's just from another planet, basically. And those kinds of things happen. Year 3. Bruce turns to magic because Superman is weak to magic, so he calls up Constantine, and he tries to fight him that way. He tries to get Zatanna and Dr. Fate and characters like that to try and stop Superman. Superman's protected by characters like the Spectre, and
that's right,
and some other magic users that protect him.
Isn't he protected by his fifth dimensional being or whatever?
Yeah, so he's protected by Spectre, and there's a big twist in the comics. Spoilers a little bit here. That the Spectre, because it kind of portrays the Spectre. So the Spectre is always possessing a body of somebody who was murdered in cold blood, basically. And the twist they tried to pull on you is they kind of like write it to make it look like the Spectre is currently being possessed by Joker. Like Joker is the Spectre. But it turns out that the Joker isn't the Spectre. The Spectre is really just Mr. Mixoplex. Posing as the Spectre. He's a fifth dimensional being who's a fan of Superman, and he's basically more powerful than basically anybody, and he's basically protecting Superman from magic users because he doesn't want his buddy stopped. So
because they needed a plot device
to
protect
basically
Superman.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with, so basically one of the things I really like about this comic is it gives some much needed context and explanation for a lot of the things that happen in the fighting game. Gotcha. Because when you see the fighting game stories aren't like stellar. They're not great because it's really just like,
you hush your mouth,
hey,
David.
I got a person, I want this person to fight this person. How do I make them do that?
Well, you just make a tournament where everybody's trying to be the best, David. Easy. Best story ever.
Yeah, best story. But they find some. So they find some really good reasons for why the characters have beef with one another. They also find some really good reasons why there are certain characters that aren't in the game. Like, why isn't Constantine in the game? Why isn't Batwoman in the game? Why aren't these other characters?
Because they be dead.
Most of them are, yes, but quite a few of them are dead.
Super dead.
But it's very dark. It's very sad.
How dark
but
is it?
It's very well done. Well, there's some pretty violent and terrible deaths in this.
No.
But again, there's also strong motivations on both sides. That's another thing that's interesting. It's a little bit like, so if you ever watch Batman v Superman, it's awful. There's really no reason in that movie why Batman should fight Superman, and there's no reason why Superman should fight Batman.
I thought you were going to say there's no reason to watch the movie, which is also accurate.
It's also accurate. But in this one, it's at least early on, it's tough to say, Superman is bad and Batman is bad, because they both have really strong motivations for wanting what they're doing, like trying to do what they're trying to do, but they clash, and you definitely start to feel by the end of it that Batman is definitely in the right, because there are plenty of times that Superman does go like way further than he's supposed to be, and you see that quite a few members of the Justice League that work with him kind of stick around with him, kind of because it's kind of an abusive relationship, which is like really tough. Like there's characters like Shazam and Flash that really for the 5 years basically are kind of like on the fence of like, oh, I don't know, man, this seems really, a little much. Like I think we're going a little too far here, and they start questioning his motives and things. And
then he kills them.
No, sometimes he does. In the game, he actually does burn Shazam's head with his heat vision. He just like shoots him straight through the head with his heat vision.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's horrible because it's Billy Baston. Like
it's a kid.
He's a child. Yeah, he kills him when he's Captain Marvel, but he turns back into a kid. You know what I mean? Like that's just it's awful. But yeah, it's very interesting. And there's really neat character dynamics, and one of the things that's also there's a lot of different character growths for because of this fight, but one of the stronger ones I think is Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn sticks out because she was with Joker when Joker did this whole plan, but when everything was said and done, Joker was killed. She was without Joker, and without Joker, Harley Quinn was able to kind of think on her own a little bit, and she hadn't had that for a long time, and so she kind of has to come into her own a little bit, and she stopped, she's still crazy, and she's still having to struggle with that, but Batman and his crew do what they can to try and like bring her, I guess, to the light. Basically, they get her to join her side, and Superman takes that as like more another nail in the coffin, basically, like another reason that he should just murder all of them, basically, because they side with her, and she ends up being like a really like important part of Batman's team for a bit, and helping actually like unite a few people to his cause. What?
Nothing.
Yeah, okay, I thought you had a question. Okay.
Nope. No questions.
Just checking.
Nothing at all. I've been holding it back.
But
really bad jokes.
Oh. But one of the things. So for that, I have good things and bad things to say about Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn. What?
It's a very diplomatic approach to anything. Well, I have good things and bad things about this.
Yes. Well, so she tends to be the source of a lot of the humor in the comic.
Well, she's a clown, David.
Especially since like the series kind of kills off the happy-go-lucky characters pretty early on in the series. It's a little...
Question for you.
Yes.
The Flash.
Yes.
Which Flash is it?
It's Barry.
Is Wally dead? Did they kill Wally?
No, he's with the Teen Titans. They do a side plot. So there's a few side plots.
The Teen Titans.
They talk about them. No, what happens is there's a time where the Teen Titans were away when everything was getting said and done. They were off world doing a mission off planet.
Gotcha.
And they came back.
So they come back to this crap fest.
Yeah, and they see what's going on, and basically like Superboy is like, you need to knock this off. This isn't okay. And they get into a tussle. He and Superman. Basically, Superman, he wounds Superboy, I think with heat vision or something like that. Like, basically mortally wounds him. But instead of letting him, I don't remember how he does it.
You should finish this.
Okay.
So remember to come back from this tangent.
Okay, I will.
Does Superman at any point feel regret or human emotion for killing probably hundreds of people, including children?
Early on, you see he does tend to regret the things he's done. He does seem to genuinely regret it early on. But as the years goes on, he does kind of like just push it deeper under layers of rationalization and psychosis. Like
this is just
by the end of
this is absurd level murder.
Yeah.
This man is doing.
Yeah,
to people that he cares about.
By year 3, is basically when it starts. Yeah, it was when he's basically just murdering anybody that's in his way.
Nuts. Anyway, back to he mortally wounds.
So he mortally wounds Superboy, and basically, what he does is he has a way he can fix it. But instead of fixing it, he's like, look, things are really chaotic right now. And so he basically gives the Teen Titans an ultimatum. He's like, you guys he has his phantom cannon that can put them in the phantom zone. Well, they'll be in stasis for however long he leaves them there. And basically, he's like, you guys will surrender and go into the phantom zone where Superboy will stay alive until we can pull him out and treat him. But he's like, but I need you guys to be in here while I'm doing my business, basically taking over the world. And so basically, to save Superboy's life, the Teen Titans surrender and get taken into the phantom zone.
Put you in timeout.
Yeah, he puts the Teen Titans in timeout.
Or else I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
What a great dad. What is this world?
Yeah, it's rough. So there's a lot of heroes show up in a lot of different ways, and yeah, there's some really neat interactions. So, but yeah, Harley Quinn. What?
I want to say like the fifth dimensional being thing we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Mixoplex.
Like yeah,
that's how I've been taught to pronounce it. I don't know
that
how
has
I
to be,
pronounce it. That's a big plot point of if you ever see it spelled, it looks awful.
The writers would have had to put something like that in there, just to be able to fend off any and all of the fans of any of this who would show up and be like, well, this guy could definitely take out Superman, and none of this would have been able to buy the beer. Like there'd be plenty of different ways that I'm sure plenty of different people could take out Superman.
Yeah.
And so putting that little guardian angel in there would
be their
fix-all for that.
So I mentioned the different
cure-all for everybody tweeting in angrily.
So I keep getting off track.
Do you?
Yes. So I mentioned year 1 was street level, year 2 is space, year 3 is magic, year 4 is gods. Wonder Woman's, Norse gods, Greek gods, things like that. She's Greek gods, right?
Those kinds of things.
Yeah, so they have gods and stuff, the new gods as well, like the people from the opposite of Apocalypse. I can't remember what it's called now, but those kind of people.
The opposite of Apocalypse.
Yeah, whatever planet they're from. New Genesis.
Got you.
Something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, they come in, they stop. Which is a very cool bit. Because basically the people that are in there are like, they're the closest thing to capital G God there is in the comics, but basically they've decided that they've come to the conclusion that this is out of their hands, like somebody this is something that they're not supposed to step in and involve themselves with.
So end of year 4, they're just like, well, we could stop this, but we won't. Is that how it basically shapes up?
Kind of. It's more. Or
do you mean to tell me there's a group of gods that try to stop Superman and are incapable of doing
so? Yeah, the Greek gods that try to stop him and are incapable of doing it because he gets the help of people like Apollo, or not Apollo, Ares. Ares helps him, and
so in this reality, this isn't a universe where Wonder Woman has defeated Ares and gained his abilities to control soldiers.
No, yeah, Ares is still around and kicking,
which is a thing that happens, guys.
Yeah, it's a thing that happens, and Ares, it doesn't work out for Ares in the end because it basically
usually doesn't.
He shows you right. Well, he shows up in the game, and basically by the end of year 5, he has helped Superman reach his goal. And because of it, there's no more war. And because there's no more war, he basically has no power. Because he's the god of war. Yeah. And so so it doesn't work out for him in the long run.
It wouldn't.
But he was basically kind of stirring up conflict throughout this comic to help him defeat the gods and stuff. And help him defeat things like people like Poseidon and stuff. But so it's rough. Also, Wonder Woman's real strong. And that's another thing. She's one of the main ones I'm just
she's tough.
She's tough, and she's also like one of the characters I have problems with, like her she's so quick to join Superman's side with this. In that she's
because as I have said many a time, but no one seems to believe me, is she's a murderous person.
So
she's all about killing people.
She's not.
And she's straight up okay.
She's not a murderous person. She's okay with killing her villains because she has the lasso of truth. But that's the thing, like they portray her in this comic in a sense that because that she's like that they're like, well, obviously once the killing starts happening, she's all about that, but she
ain't wrapped no lasso of truth around Ares in that movie though.
No.
She just murdered him.
He was also the god of war.
Look, what I'm saying is I'm presenting something that disproves what you just said.
It doesn't. He's actually evil.
She doesn't
need the truth.
She ain't know
She actually did wrap the lasso of truth around him, you duck.
Look.
And he tricked her with it.
She didn't wrap around him and say, hey, is you evil, should I kill you? Okay? She just murdered him.
He was evil, Ethan.
That's fine.
I don't understand. Superman. I don't understand your point.
My point is, she's fine with killing people and murdering people.
She's not a murderer. She's just she's fine with defeating her villains through killing. Yes.
Okay, if that's how you want to say it, sure. Whatever makes you feel better.
She doesn't just go around murdering people left and right.
But she joined up with Superman real fast.
She did it in this comic, and that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense for her. Because in the normal comics,
I think
she's a symbol of hope, and she doesn't do this crap.
Sure.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Is it?
Yes, it is. But anyway, she joins up with him very, very quickly, and it is odd. Because she turns a blind eye to a lot of unfairness, and that's another thing. Like Wonder Woman is all about like defending inequality and stuff like that, and she just turns a blind eye to a lot of it. Like there's a lot of things that just go on with Superman that she just doesn't pay attention to or doesn't bother to. I don't know. It's not great writing with her, but I don't know. Not great. I don't want to say great writing is the word, but she's just I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. Any hoozles. Year 4 is the gods, and Year 5 is villains, because they release a bunch of prisons and release people like Killer Croc and a bunch of villains and stuff like that. And they basically come to the conclusion that, well, Superman's taken over the world, and if we want to actually, be bad guys that win, we'll have to defeat Superman. So they work together and try to do that. And they fail, obviously, because, again, the Injustice game has to happen.
Yep.
That's the thing about this comic is that because we know the ending, we know that the regime, not the regime, I don't know what they call Batman's group, but they fall basically. The rebellion falls. I don't know. They have a term for it though. I don't remember what it is though.
The resistance.
The resistance of some kind. I don't know. But yeah, and it's very neat. So real quick, back to Harley Quinn. I know I keep going off track a lot, but Harley Quinn, I felt one of the big gripes I have with her is she's another character that. She's a big, like I mentioned, she's a big source of the humor in the comic, and I don't find her a whole lot of funny. She's funny. She's some of the best lines in the comic as far as funny goes, but like she's not as great as this comic kind of portrays her. And this is where I come to like her. My problem with Harley Quinn lately is that like DC has kind of made Harley Quinn into their like Deadpool, and basically it's like anywhere you would like insert Deadpool, DC is like. Just put Harley Quinn in it.
Yeah. And
it bothers me because I don't like Deadpool. I don't like that character. I don't like this character that it's like everything's a joke. Like levity's fine. I love laughing. I love, taking things lightly, whatever, things like that. But I don't like characters that are like crazy, murderous, and laughing about it. And also like, I don't know, it doesn't. But one of the things that I think that redeems her a little bit as far as storytelling in this particular comic is that you definitely see Harley Quinn struggle with her mental illness. She's a psychiatrist. She was a psychiatrist before she became, or she was a therapist before she became Harley Quinn. And she actually, like, for a brief time in the comic, actually goes back to being Harleen Quinzel because she's just like, look, without Joker, I'm not Harley Quinn. I can't keep doing this. I have to be true to who I am, and it's rough. And like she also goes through some troubles when she finds like they talk about she has a child that she had with Joker, but she never told him because she knew that he would just like hate her, or he would probably kill the baby or something goofy like that. And so, but she actually cared about this child, and so she has it hidden away, living with her sister. And you see, it really humanizes Harley Quinn. Like, you don't see her as this, like, unbelievably crazy and irredeemable character. You see her as, like, somebody who could be something. And that's, like, it's probably some of the better writing for Harley Quinn I've seen in a while. But now, I talked about earlier, like, I haven't read Ground Zero and I haven't read, Injustice 2. And, like, now it's, like, Harley Quinn's she's back to being Harley Quinn again, and she's, all, funny and killing and stuff like that. Ground Zero, it's basically the plot of the game, but it's following it from Harley Quinn's perspective, except that she wasn't in all of the fights in the original game, so they find all kinds of convoluted ways to put her in those fights, or like have her witness those fights. And I'm just like, why? She wasn't the main character of this conflict.
Yep.
She was just a bystander. I mean, like, she wasn't a bystander. She was
part of that merch.
She was part of the reason.
They put Harley Quinn on everything, and everybody buys it. Because all the guys is like, oh, Harley Quinn's so hot, and all the girls is like, hey, I can get attention by dressing like Harley Quinn. Yeah, let's do it.
But and at the same time, I feel like it also has a lot to do with the fact that like DC or fans of DC tend to have like this like thing for Joker. Like, people love Joker, and it like I don't get that mentality. Yeah. Like, I don't like Joker. I think he's a brilliantly written villain. I think he's great in the comics. I think he does a really good job. His stories with Batman are very neat and telling and great. But I don't like him as a character. I think he's awful. I think that's the point of his character. And so, like, when I see things like people like buying merch because of Joker and things like that, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get this romanticizing True. Joker.
But you do watch Power Rangers. So...
Which is like the exact opposite of Joker.
No, I get you. I'm just saying. Yeah. Everybody has their thing they like, David.
Yeah, no, I get that. And it's just... But I feel like my point is, like you said, it is that marketing. It's that, like, because this series can't have Joker, it's just... it's Harley Quinn.
It's going to push Harley Quinn. Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, people like Harley Quinn and like the Joker for whatever reason, even though you and I don't see why they would, because they're not as good of characters as many other characters in the DC universe, but they're popular and they're big and they're visible, and if they put either of them on something, people are more likely to buy them. Yeah. And that is incredibly annoying.
I've seen some
especially in something like this.
I've seen some gameplay of Injustice 2, and I don't know how, but apparently Joker's in that one as well. So it's probably the Earth 1's Joker. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But I'm just like...
Does that I mean...
Yeah, so that was one of the conflicts. So that was one of the neat things about it, is in the game, you see this in the game, but you also see this in the last few issues of the comic. In the moment that they pull the Justice League from Earth 1 to Earth 2, it's in the moment where Joker has a similar plan set up that he had for Superman, where he was trying to basically trick him and stuff like that, but he had just a bomb, basically. But in this case, before anything happened, before Superman was hit with gas, or whatever, fear gas, the Justice League got the jump on him. They figured it out. They figured out the plan before anything went off, and they were able to stop him, basically. And as they were stopping him, they were having this conflict with him in the middle of Metropolis with the nuke. And basically, they were like, he had the device on him, like he had a switch basically on him, and so the Batwoman was helping run the device, and she knew that the only way to save the people in their Earth was to pull Joker with the Justice League. And so basically they waited till the moment where the Justice League were right about to close on to Joker, and they pulled all of them into the Earth 1. And so Joker was also pulled in with the Justice League, so it saved their universe because his detonator didn't work anymore. But also Joker is in their universe again. And I don't know exactly what happened to him at the end of the game. Probably nothing great. I don't know. But this comic is actually super good. I think it's very good. I think you definitely feel the desperation of Batman's side. And you also start to feel for the people that worked for Superman, even. Like, you start to see the struggles they're going through, and like I said, at first, like, there's some times where I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. But at the same time, I also don't quite understand, that, like, I guess, abusive relationship mentality, because I haven't experienced that myself. But I feel like that probably does resonate with some people. Because that is something that is prevalent. Like, that's something, like, people have gone through that. Yeah. Where it's just like, yeah, I could turn on this person, but, like, I do care about this man. Like, I care about this person who's done a lot for this world or whatever, or done a lot for me or what have you. And so they're willing to turn a blind eye for these things, for a lot. And it's neat. It's a very, very well written and interesting comic. I like it a lot. So check it out if you want to. It's a little graphic. It's probably not for everybody. But it's pretty...
Not for the faint of heart.
It's pretty good, if you can get your hands on it.
I can vouch. I've not read it, but David has told me about it many times, and I enjoy listening to him tell me about it, so it's probably good.
Yeah.
Do enjoy it.
That's all I got to say about that tonight.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you all for sitting in on yet another episode of Those Nerds You Know.
Yeah.
We have a Twitter.
Yeah.
At TNYK Pod.
We have a Facebook.
We have a Facebook.
Those Nerds You Know.
Page. Those Nerds You Know. We also have what?
A YouTube.
Got a YouTube. Those Nerds You Know.
You may be actually watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, that'd be great if you are on YouTube.
Yeah. We're on iTunes
Subscribe
now.
or like it or whatever. Do whatever it is that
write a comment
that shows that you like this thing on whatever it is you do that you're listening to it on.
Yeah.
However that works for you. Whatever it is you're listening to this on, express your like for it.
We also have an email.
In fact, like it. I mean, if you made it this far, you must care about it somewhat.
We also have an email.
thosenerdsyouKnowPod@gmail.com.
Hit us up with any questions you got. Anything you want us to talk about. Anything you liked or you didn't like.
Tell us how you like Injustice 2. It's out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually do want to get my hands on that game. It does actually look like a fun game.
The video game. Or if you've read the comic.
Yeah.
Tell us how you feel about that. Do you think it was ridiculous that Wonder Woman joined Superman so quickly? Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go see Troll Hunters. Go watch Young Justice as much as you can of it, all of it, twice.
Yes, watch a lot of it.
It's real
watch
good.
it on the DC thing when it comes out, hopefully.
Yep.
And maybe it does well, hopefully.
Hopefully.
We also are on iTunes now.
Yes, we are.
If you want to check us out there, you can download our stuff, our past broadcasts, and as well as shoot us a review. Tell us what you think.
Please.
5 stars helps. If not,
if not, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, just shut up. just be quiet. But thank you guys very much for listening to us.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Much appreciated. Once again, I am Ethan LeBlanc.
I'm David McQueen.
And we are Those Nerds You Know. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.